Now we are moving on to chapter number 5, which is about the capability and capacity management of the portfolio. I hope you understand the difference between capacity and capability. Naturally, this concept we have been applying right from the individual level to the project level to the program level. Now we are talking about the portfolio level. If it was for the individual level, you say the talent of a person shows his or her capability. How much that workload that person can undertake is the capacity of that person. Now, enlarging the same concept up to the project level or program level or to the portfolio level, at the project level, I would say what this project is capable of doing and how much is our collective capacity to handle. And are we capable of doing it ourselves? And maybe we need to outsource a part of the project or even the whole project. Similarly, it applies to the program. But when we talk about portfolio, things are much more enlarged. We are looking at a summary level. So we have to understand the capacity and capability management at the portfolio level. For that, we have got these topics to be discussed in this chapter. Naturally, the overview, guiding principles. Then, what is capacity planning, capacity management, capacity planning? Supply and demand will also come into discussion, their optimization, organizational capabilities at the organizational level, and then looking at the uh, assessment of capabilities. What are the organizational capabilities right now? Because when you are managing a portfolio continuously, you are adding value to the organization, you are adding capabilities to the organization, and those capabilities are, it's a constant stream of flow, constant improvement coming to the organization, thus resulting in achievement of organizational objectives, right? Organizational strategies. So you keep assessing the capability situation of the organization, and you keep developing the capability. You keep orchestrating such components to be added to the portfolio which can add value, which can increase the organizational capability. And then we should have, on the capability and capacity basis, we should have some kind of reporting and analysis mechanism which is called the performance reporting and analytics. And ultimately we need to balance capacity with capability. We don't want to achieve more capability than what we can handle. So we don't want to go beyond that. So let us create a balance between capacity and capability at the organizational level, or for that matter, at the portfolio level. So capacity and capability management, we have got these um, all these topics. I've already shown you objectives of portfolio capacity and capability management. We will talk about the key considerations like resource type and strategic alignment, and we'll discuss the various challenges to that. Okay, starting with the overview. Capacity and capability management function plays a critical role in the organization's overall portfolio management, because the ultimate purpose of the portfolio is to establish a balance, enhance and increase the capacity and capability, the organizational capability and capacity, and to create a balance amongst them. From strategic planning to portfolio selection and optimization, so that will affect how the components are added to the portfolio, how they are selected, how they are optimized. So basically, whenever we are orchestrating the components of the portfolio, we are actually trying to achieve a balance in capacity and capability to realizing the resulting value to the organization. You see, when we have got this capacity and capability and the balance among these two things, then we are actually adding value to the organization, which is ultimately going to fulfill the organizational objective. Effective and efficient capacity and capability management bridges the gap between organization's overall strategy and the attainment of specific business objective through monitoring and controlling of the execution of programs and project effort, which is happening under the portfolio, the program management, project management. So all that monitoring and controlling is going on. We are going to keep an eye on that and see which things are actually benefiting us in the business objective. And we'll amend our strategy accordingly. So the terms we need to understand first is the capacity and capability management, then is the capacity, little bit about capacity and little bit about capability management as far as the definition is concerned. Collectively, capacity and capability management is a comprehensive framework based on a set of guiding principles consisting of a set of tools and practices to identify, allocate, and optimize resources for maximizing resource utilization and minimizing resource conflict in portfolio execution. Now, in a way, these guiding principles are these, practices and tools. They could be a part of the portfolio governance also, right? That is a smaller part of the portfolio governance, but that smaller part which we are specifically, targeting here is called the capacity and capability management. In the context of the portfolio management, it employs all aspects of resources such as staff, capital, technology, equipment, even finances. When we say capacity management, it addresses what types of resources are needed, how many are needed, and when are they needed to support the portfolio. That is the capacity. About capability, it elaborates what aspects of resource capacity are available and addresses the attributes, competencies, and skills. So when we say capability, maybe training is a part of that, maybe enhancing the skills of the people in their competencies, their attributes. This all could be associated to any resource and organization support for portfolios. So briefly, it defines what is capacity management, what is capability management, and how do they interact with each other. That is just the overview. Objective of portfolio capacity and capability management is to determine the optimum balance between what the organization can do now or its capacity and what the organization can potentially do or its capability. How much can you handle and how much is your organizational capability of doing, right? And then we can talk about enhancing our capacity, our capability, and then while doing so, we want to keep a balance. We do not want the capabilities to increase so much that they are beyond the capacity of the organization. So we want to keep a balance. That is the intricate balance the optimal balance we want to achieve. Portfolio capacity and capability management maximizes resource utilization, the best utilization of resources, and at the same time minimizes the conflicts for successful portfolio execution. So if something is adversely affecting or damaging the portfolio execution, we want to minimize that damage and we want to maximize resource utilization, meaning we want to most efficiently and effectively use our resources amongst our components. Sound practices around portfolio selection and execution, decision making, change management, risk management, value management, benefit management, all of these topics might be covered in other domains as well. But all of those things which could somehow impact the portfolio capacity and capability, which, wherever we involve resources, there has to be capacities and capabilities, right? Whether it is value management, benefit management, risk management, whatever kind of decision making is there, we need to create a balance. That is the focus of this chapter. Interdependencies among the portfolio components drive complexity. There are lot many projects and programs simultaneously running in the portfolio, and that brings a lot of complexity. What project is giving what to the what, and how those benefits are being realized, and how do they interact and relate with other. So these interdependencies affect the use of resources. And as we said, we want to have optimal use of resources. We want to maximize the resource utilization and minimize the conflict. It will focus on all kinds of resources, as we already talked about: human, financial, asset, intellectual capital, or so on and so forth. Each organization has an ideal potential as to what it can accomplish and what can be done now. That is the difference between the current situation and the future. So, if our capability or capacity is lower at this time, we want in future that to increase. But again, I would say we don't want the capabilities to be increased to such a level which is not required, which is beyond our capacity. So that is exactly why we mentioned balancing the capabilities and capacities. Portfolio manager needs to look across the organization to identify the programs and supporting projects that will be in the portfolio to meet the strategic objectives of the organization. Right? So what should be included and what should not be included in the portfolio? All the components which should be part of the portfolio and those which should not be. It's just not the matter of priority. It is a matter of the what do you say, integration of the component. If maybe a component is very important, but it does not fit into the current set of initiatives or components currently being undertaken, is an important component which may be added, is not fitting into the big picture, and therefore it might not be included. So these programs and supporting projects should also be executable by balancing the portfolio's demands against the organizational capacity and capability to achieve the business goals of the portfolio and associated value. That is what we want. We want that whatever value we were supposed to generate out of the portfolio, we are able to generate that. Therefore, organization may not dictate priorities, because the set of projects and programs, the components we are to undertake, there has to be a very intricate balance, right? So I just defined that in the previous point. Balancing the organization's capacity and capability is not a simple task. You have to orchestrate it. You have to keep an eye on your capabilities and capacities. Integration of programs and projects within the portfolio to meet the strategic objectives is a very complex ordeal, and it involves many interrelationships among the organization, its programs, supporting projects, and all. You see, at any one point in the life of a portfolio, the set of projects and programs currently running must be very well integrated. We cannot have a misfit component into a smoothly running system of programs and projects. That is what we are trying to make a point on capacity and capability. A portfolio should be understood as a complex adaptive system. About complexity, I have already told you. Probably you could refer to a PMI standard by the name Navigating Complexity. It applies to project management, program management, or even portfolio management. But navigating complexity means that a situation where a lot many items are trying to interact with each other. The number of items interacting with each other, if that is high, it becomes a complex environment. Or if, number one, the number of components, high number of components makes the things complex. And high number of interactions also make the things complex. For example, there are only 4 components, but all the 4 components all need to communicate and coordinate all the time with every other component. That also makes a very complex situation. So number of components to be interacted with, and the number of interaction points amongst those components, both of these features create the complexity in your portfolio. So we need to treat it as a complex adaptive system. We should quickly adapt to the level of complexity we are facing, rather than as isolated or even simply connected component. So those which are simply connected, they're not complex. Don't bother about them. Bother about the complex adaptive situation. Capacity and capability management involves aspects that shape the portfolio and allow portfolio managers to plan, monitor, and control the execution of portfolios to meet organization strategic goals and aggregate investment performance and benefit realization. So you have to think about the big picture, how these components are going to contribute to the organizational strategic goal, how our investment, performance can be balanced, how our benefits are being realized. They are big things, they are strategic things we are talking about. Guiding principles. Naturally, we understand the guiding principles are the key principles of portfolio management. Let us see what does apply here specifically from the point of view of portfolio capacity and capability management. Organizations, irrespective of their size, complexity, or nature of the business environment, need to define and embrace a set of guiding principles to be effective with capacity and capability. So we do have the 8 principles of portfolio management, but however, the following are especially noteworthy. Out of those 8, these 4 are noteworthy from the capacity and capability point of view. Number one, exercise active and decisive leadership for the optimization of resource utilization. So wherever there is a matter of resource utilization, we are more concerned about it. This is a matter of capacity and capability. Achieve excellence in strategic execution. So indirectly, again, capacity and capability comes into play. Balance portfolio value against overall risk. So wherever there is a matter of balancing, which means we are trying to balance between the capacity and the capability. And lastly, complexity. Navigate complexity to enable successful outcomes. The discussion in this session reflect these principles as the underlying basis for effective capacity and capability management. So please highlight these four guiding principles out of the 8 portfolio management principles. These four are relevant to capacity and capability management. Capacity management is one of the most complex and critical areas within portfolio management. Just hold on a minute. I think there's prayer going on and that is causing a little bit of...
Yeah, I can still hear you.
I'm just putting off the mic for some.
Okay.
I suppose this is a good time for a prayer break. I can go and say my prayer. So
Okay.
should we have a little 15-minute break again?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.